Welcome to Saturday Morning Retro, episode 20. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. Welcome to Saturday Morning Retro. This is a podcast on the Rated G Network focused on retro gaming and giving ourselves an excuse to play our collection. I'm your host, Dave Bertino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man? Episode 20. We're almost Saturday Morning Retro is almost able to drink legally.
That's right.
In America. In America. Only in America, because you can drink legally in Italy.
That's right. You can drink when you're like 13, as long as you can see over the counter. It's interesting you bring that up because it is also Cinco de Mayo, Dan, and I am enjoying myself a nice margarita. So
nice.
It goes hand in hand. I love me a good margarita. It's one of the only cocktails I can make.
Well, we don't record this show live on camera, but so I can't say you could see me on camera drinking something, but I definitely have the Spider-Man mug.
Oh, yeah?
And it's
there you go.
Definitely not a margarita in it.
You got an alcoholic drink in that cup? Or
It's some whiskey. I got some whiskey.
Right,
I'm a whiskey connoisseur.
Respect. What kind? What kind is it? What brand?
It's actually Japanese whiskey, Yamazaki.
I was going to guess that. Yamazaki is very distinguished.
And expensive.
That's up there.
It ain't cheap. But, and you can't mix it. I know this ain't the whiskey podcast. I would love to have a wrestling and whiskey podcast to go along in the Rated G Network, just saying. But you can't really mix Japanese whiskey. It just doesn't taste right. You have to drink it. You got to drink it straight, like on the rocks.
Especially one of that caliber, right? I mean, it's kind of a sin to throw some, like Coke in there or some other mixer in there, right? Because you're like, the reason you get that is to, you want to taste all of the smoky flavor or whatever the notes are of that, right? You don't want it watered down.
Well, listen, if for our younger viewers, this is what happens, or Saturday mornings when you become older or old like we are, right?
You have a drink before 12 and
It's all about having a drink and not about the pancakes and Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, it's also about that too. Well, maybe not the cartoons anymore, but pancakes I can abide by.
I guess if they had good Saturday morning cartoons, I would be into it, right?
Yeah,
I would still probably watch it every now and then. But all right, as we always start Saturday Morning Retro, we have an awesome show this month, right? We're gonna dig deep into our backlog, and this is the fighting game episode, right?
That's right.
I'm going to talk about Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I've never played it. I went in totally blind. I missed this era of Mortal Kombat, like after Mortal Kombat 4 till about Mortal Kombat 9 or 8. I sort of missed it all the the Mortal Kombats in between. So
I'm giving you my honest thoughts. 3D fighting games, right? It kicked off with 4, and then it went all the way up until I think 9. It returned to its 2D roots.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about that, and then you're gonna talk about Fighters Remix.
Fighters Megamix.
Megamix. Oh, that's right. That's right. So, but before we get into all that, let's get into gaming history, right? So, April. This is a special month, or was a special month because so it's coming a little bit late, and you're gonna get 2 episodes in May, which is a special treat. But April of 1980, I was not born yet, by the way.
Neither was I. Neither was I.
Really? I thought you were in college at this time.
No. This guy.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna get you a calculator. Your birthday's coming up soon. I'm gonna get you a calculator, Dan. You get your calculator so you can go ahead and do some math on that.
Yeah, I didn't really
you're
do
a few
good.
Years off.
No, math wasn't my subject. I like doing book.
I can tell.
I like doing book reports. But the first Game & Watch was released in Japan.
Yep.
This month, or last month, about 40 years ago, right? Yeah. 42 years ago. That's crazy.
Speaking of calculators, actually, that was the impetus. Gunpei Yokoi famous creator of the Game and Watch, the Game Boy, the Metroid series, and
Virtual Boy.
and
Right?
Virtual Boy, yeah, which was sadly his swan song. But man has an impeccable track record. I still think the Virtual Boy. Well, let's not.
Didn't he come up with the Wonder Swan? He came up with the Wonder Swan too.
I think he was
away.
doing some work with the Wonder Swan too.
Yeah.
In his final years. But yeah, he saw the Japanese salarymen on the subway playing with their calculators because they were bored on their way to work and they just wanted to kind of pass the time. And he was like, "Wait a minute, right?" And calculators, like some of them had the LCD screens on there, right? So it was kind of the birth of that. You could spend, I guess, like under $100 and get a decent calculator that had a little LCD screen. So he's like, maybe I could do something with this, and that was kind of the impetus for it.
So no, it was Game and Watch Ball, right? Like that was the original game. It wasn't Mario, it wasn't Donkey Kong or anything like that. It was like that ball game, which it's not a bad game. I mean, it's a simplistic game, but for the time, I can imagine that it was probably like all the craze.
It was brand new technology. I mean, it's crazy. Like, and the thing was like really thin. It would fit in your pocket, right? It was a thin LCD screen.
It would actually fit in your pocket, not like the Steam Deck. That's portable, but you need a book bag.
Yeah, right. And the Game and Watch. I mean, it wasn't like the LCD screens we have now and all that. Like you had, I guess, all of the sprites were printed on like a layer, and basically the game circuitry would highlight certain bits of the screen to let you know if you end up moving right, it'll highlight that particular section of the screen, right, which would be the little thing of Mr. Game and Watch on there. So different than today's technology, but it was the beginning of flat screen tech and flat screen consoles.
So Dave, I'm not gonna lie. I always look forward to our Saturday morning retro shows because this is where we get to sort of give a shout out to all our pickups for the month, right? And boy, I got some big news.
Okay.
I got some big news. I have hit a milestone today. Today, I finally reached the goal that I set out when we first started the show. And when we first started the show, I must have had maybe less than 1,000 games. Like I said, I had maybe 600, right?
Yeah.
Between this, 600 to 700 games.
Well,
Let's
not sneeze at that. That's a lot of games still. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I finally hit the milestone. I told you, I really wanted to hit this mark, and everything else is just gravy. I hit 5,000 games today.
Ooh! Here we go. That's fantastic, Dan. I'm clapping for you right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but
thank you.
That's amazing. 5,000 games. Look at that.
So I got to jump in. Let me just jump into the game, like all the games that I got this month, or I should say last month / today, right? A couple of days into to May. But before I get into the actual games, I did get the Min Min amiibo. Bought this from GameStop, free delivery.
Min Min from Arms.
From Arms. That's for the Smash Brothers collection. So I have that. Thought it would be hard to get because when it first came out, no one really had it, couldn't get it anywhere, right? And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, it started showing up on Target, GameStop, Best Buy. So
supply chain is a little wonky, but plastic isn't at a premium, so they can definitely get them out. But
so I will be opening this. I wasn't going to open it originally because I was like, I can't get it. If I find it, I'm not going to open it. But now I'm going to open it. So. Dave, I know me and you talked off the mics yesterday when I was one game away from 5,000, and you wanted to know what would be the 5,000th game. And I'm going to tell you right now. Fill me in. Thanks to JJ Games, because that's when I brought it like a week and a half ago. Kind of expensive now. That's why JJ had it for a good price. My 5,000th game was Bomberman 64, the second attack. An N64.
Bomberman second attack. Was that the like kind of single player adventure-y game that also had like the head-to-head multiplayer or the
I don't know about
multiplayer?
multiplayer because you
Okay.
know I don't really care about that, but it definitely was it like sort of it wasn't like the traditional Bomberman games. It was sort of like the single player. You couldn't jump, but you could set bombs and traps for enemies when they come towards you.
Okay. I think I know the game you're talking about. Sure. Sure.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
this
That's awesome.
this game is like in the 300 range.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the difference between Lukey and JJ Games, which I'm glad is back, by the way. JJ Games
They had a
will
flood, I
show
think,
you.
right?
Say it again.
They had a flood? Was it? Didn't their warehouse get flooded? Is that because they were down in Florida, I think, right? And there was a
No, JJ
hurricane?
Games is in Texas,
Okay.
and they shut down just due limited supply, and then they came back 2 years ago.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's awesome
So-
to have them back in business.
So they show you the actual game you're buying, and if it's a game that's like in perfect condition, you're paying like sort of full price. But if it has some wear and tear or some issues,
you get a
they
discount.
will get a discount, which they actually did on this. So I paid definitely under $300 for this.
No, I forget.
super
Do they actually show you the actual cart and the amount of damage, or you kind of just have to roll the dice?
They
do.
They show you the actual cart.
That's awesome. I want to know what I'm getting when I buy it, right? Because obviously the price is commensurate with the quality, but I still want to see it to see if it's worth it. You know, because like the label could be messed up, but not that bad, and you know the price could be right. But I just want to know. So I like that they do that.
I also from JJ Games, I got it in box with the plastic, with the foam, and the cardboard, N64 controller. So, first time I've ever had that. So super happy about that.
Is it like the traditional gray color, or is it like the atomic purple or the jungle green?
It is yellow. Actually,
The banana yellow?
It's banana yellow. Donkey Kong. They actually showed the controllers, and they showed that this one had the plastic, the styrofoam, and the cardboard. So I said, you know what? I want the yellow one because it has everything in it. It's technically complete, correct? So that's why I bought it. And I also brought Carrier Crisis on the Saturn, which came sealed. I don't know if it's factory sealed or resealed. So I still have to check that out. Paid a good price for that, but not sealed price. I didn't pay the sealed price for that. So I'm super happy to have that in the collection.
Could be a heat gun rewrap, or it could be like an H-seam. You don't know.
I don't know. I have to get that checked out. Also, that came yesterday, which a game that I've had on my radar for a long time. Wanted to buy. It is the sort of a Castlevania ripoff that was out for the Sega Master System, and it is Master of Darkness.
Oh,
complete, by the way, complete.
I don't know
for the Sega Master System.
Master of Darkness. Interesting. I'll have to take a look. I am unfamiliar.
Yeah. And, you know, the good thing for you collectors out there, the good thing about Master System games are they are region free. So you could buy it in another region and it will work on your system.
Yeah, sometimes get lucky with that. Sometimes you get lucky with that.
I ordered from Pixel Heart last year. We talked about it. Supposed to be the last official 3DS game to come out. It was a sequel to a game that came out like 40 years ago. I know I'm going to butcher the name. Andros Dunos 2? All right.
I'll take it. I'll take it, Dan.
You take it? I have that sealed. I was kind of worried about that because I ordered it last year. Didn't know anything. They didn't say anything. I was kind of worried because Pixel Heart is in Europe. So was worried about shipping, but it came to me the other day. Super happy to have that in the collection. Something I forgot I pre-ordered, and it came in a couple of days ago, Nintendo Switch Sports. Gotta say, I'm really feeling the tennis. I was never a Wii Sports fan, but I'm really feeling the tennis on this.
Everyone's a Wii Sports fan.
Well, I was. You know what, Dave? I just proved you wrong because I'm not a Wii Sports fan. So everyone can't be a Wii Sports fan.
You hate any competitive game. That's what
That's not true.
You like the single player experience. That game, I mean, they weren't anything like crazy.
You know, I love playing.
They were good enough. They were good enough.
You know,
and it was fun playing against somebody else with the motion controls.
What was the game that came out on the Switch That was like during the launch. That was like sort of
1-2
we
switch?
said 1-2 switch. Yeah, I beat you in every 1-2 switch game. So of course I like competitive.
I wasn't
games.
even trying, and you beat me in
You
like
were trying.
some
Get
of them.
out of
You beat me
here.
in
You were
some of them,
angry.
not all of them.
You
This
you
guy
were
with the
trying.
revisionist history over here.
You were trying. I beat you in all of them.
Listen. My cow milking skills are far superior to yours. I don't
Now,
wanna hear
how about your treasures trust unchaining? Because I just
okay. All right, there's a lot of mini games in there. I think we were like 50-50.
We were not 50. We were talking about revisionist history. We
definitely
definitely weren't
100%.
50. But I love competitive games. When I beat you, like I beat you at the Nintendo event at 1-2 Switch.
You hate
I beat you at 1-2 Switch. I swept you. I dominated you. I crushed you in 1-2.
All right there, Macho Man. All right there, Macho Man.
I crushed you in 1-2 Switch and Arms. Remember when we played Arms? I swept you.
Okay.
I swept you. You didn't beat me in Arms. I am undefeated.
I need to get you a dictionary, because you need to look up what the word destroy and crushed and dominate mean.
Win. It means win. I won. I dominated
No,
you. Like the
it means
Celtics dominated
more than
the
win.
Nets.
It means
Like
more than win.
Like the Celtics dominated the Nets. I swept you.
Listen. If the Celtics sweep,
It's called domination.
If the
That's called
Celtics sweep
domination.
the series,
That's called domination.
that means that the Nets did terribly, didn't even win a single game.
Yeah,
But-
that's you in Arms with me. You didn't win one game.
But if the games are like a point difference, that has to be recognized. All right,
It's recognized that you lost.
Means that means the Nets came up. They didn't get crushed in every game. If they lost by a point or two, then it comes down to the last like 3 seconds of the game, right?
Let me ask you a question.
That's different than being up by 20. Right? And then
let me
winning.
ask you a question.
That's completely different, Dan.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question. Who did Michael Jordan beat to win his first championship?
I know what the Spurs.
You know what?
I don't know.
You know why? You know why you don't remember? You know why you don't remember? Because no one remembers the loser.
I'm not really a basketball fan. You know what? You know what? I forgot we even played, Dan. That's how insignificant those games were. So
I know you.
I forgot played.
If I got swept, I would want to forget too. But that's another story. All right. Back to my pickups in April.
Oh, you got more. All right, keep it going.
I got lots more, but I'm not gonna get into all of them. I'm gonna highlight. So I'm still trying to bolster the PSP collection. I got Gun Showdown. Didn't know. I thought this would be the same game as Gun. Remember Gun that came out for the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2.
Oh, I remember. Gun and Red Dead Revolver came out at the same time.
Yeah, Gun Showdown. Slightly different game for the PSP. Thought it would be the same, and so the port, it wasn't. It was a different game.
Same style though, right? Like 3D third person open world.
Yeah, same style, but different.
Just a different
totally
story.
different.
Yeah. Okay.
I love my fighting games was on Sony platforms because I like the controllers for fighting games. But Guilty Gear Judgment, really good game that came out for the
Judgment
PSP.
was pretty solid.
Yep. And Gladiator Begins.
Not
for
a
the PSP.
Solid. That's not a fighting game, is it though? Right? It's a brawler.
It is. No, it's not a fighting game. But
action.
I could have sworn Gladiator, the movie. I could have sworn they made a game about that, but I couldn't find it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong.
I couldn't find it. That's why I was like, I kept looking. Luki didn't have it. JJ didn't have it. I didn't look on eBay, but I could have sworn that they had a game out like Gladiator.
Because that movie came out like 99, 2000.
Came out in 2000.
And yeah, that would have been like Dreamcast PS1 time. If it were to coincide with the movie, which they always do, like Sans GoldenEye.
I thought, but I couldn't find it, so I was wrong. I guess you know what it is? The box art makes me think it was a game because I have the movie. I have the movie on DVD, and the box art looks like it should be like a PS2 title.
Yeah, kind of.
Right?
Kind of.
All right, let's shift gears to PlayStation Collection. I got a game that you would be so proud of me. I picked up because I know there's a game that you would be into, but you should know because of the style of game, I would semi try to get into, and that's Legend of Mana.
Oh yeah.
For the original PS1.
They either just put out, I think we just talked about this in the last episode too. I forget if it's out yet or not, but the remaster on the Nintendo Switch, and I think the PS4 as well.
But it's
wild. It's a wild game.
I know, but it's not a turn-based RPG. So I'm not really into those type of.
No, so. It's an action RPG and it's a world-building RPG. You actually build the world that you run around in, which is kind of cool.
Which is what interests me in gaming.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's good, not great. I think
good. Yeah. Okay. That's the sentiment I got from online. Yeah, but it's an action RPG, so I would be sort of open to playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I completed my Street Fighter EX collection. I got the first one, EX Plus, and I got EX2. So I already had EX3 for PS2, so now I got both of the original games for the original PlayStation.
The EX3 was a launch title.
Really? Did not know that. Interesting.
One of the two fighting game launch titles. That and Tekken Tag Tournament were both out for the system. Mm-hmm.
Both good games. I played both.
Yeah.
I got Rat Attack on the PlayStation. I know the one for the N64, the price is going up a little bit right there. People sought after that for the N64, but I got it for PlayStation, which is super cheap.
I feel like that's not a good game. I think it's one of those games that isn't commensurate with the price, or unless I'm wrong.
It's not a good game at all. By the way,
okay.
I tried playing it.
So.
Since I had the PS2 hooked up and the PS2 is backwards compatible with the PS1, I did try playing it.
That's right.
Not a great game at all. No. But the game I did, because I have to test these games, especially if I pay this type of money for it. I had to test, make sure it works. I did buy Einhander. One of the pricey games for the original PS1.
Made by Squaresoft.
Really good 3D shoot 'em up. Right? I could see why people really like the game. Like I paid good. I didn't pay full price, asking price for it. I did get a little bit of a discount.
Well,
I did pay a lot of money for it.
There wasn't a lot of shoot 'em ups on the PlayStation 1, to be fair.
That was more of the original PlayStation? No, that was more of like a Dreamcast thing. Right?
Dreamcast had a lot. I feel like Saturn had some, obviously. Well, actually, Neo Geo doesn't have that many either. But
Mars Matrix is the next like Dreamcast game I want to pick up, but it's a little pricey. It's definitely up in there, like the 350 mark. So I got a PS5 game that came in. I did say on the show I did pre-order it, and that is Sifu. I got the Vengeance edition. It comes with like an art book and cards and a steel book. So
nice.
Definitely want to try that out. Hopefully, games have been playing for the next episode. Hopefully that'll be on it. Definitely want to boot that up later. I'm almost done. Don't worry, I'm almost done. I'm not gonna get into all of these.
You're just like going through the stack right now. I get it.
I'm just going through the stack. I got Injustice: Gods Among Us. Got that for free from Luki. Use my points.
Okay.
For the PS3, I do have the Vita version and I have the Wii U version. But I love my fighting games with DualShock, so definitely pick PS3 version. Guilty Gear Xrd 2 for the PS4. Still have that shield. I love fighting games. Want to pick that up?
Those were I think the first that whole Xrd series, because there was like 3 of them. They made a bunch of revisions. Those were the first 3D models of the Guilty Gear characters. Before that, if I'm not mistaken, they were all kind of hand drawn, sprite based, and they look beautiful. And the transition to 3D was very good.
And also got King of Fighters Maximum Impact for the PS2.
Nice.
And didn't know this, but it came with 2 discs. I think. Well, it's 2 discs in there. Hopefully, nope. So the game on 1 disc, and I thought this was a movie of some sort.
Oh,
bonus
maybe,
behind the scenes. No, bonus behind the scenes.
There
So that's interesting. Nice. I got that all intact, complete.
Mm.
And now this, I was debating if I wanted to make this a weekly or a monthly thing. Games that Dave should play on the original Xbox.
Oh my God!
For last.
What do we got?
Save the best for last. Dead Man's Hand for the original Xbox.
Oh, you want to talk about third-person cowboy action games? There you go, Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, bro. And it says online enabled with Xbox Live, so you can play it online.
Not anymore. Well, actually, it may have online service. Nobody's playing that game.
Well, I mean, fans of the game could be playing it online.
Maybe there's a strong online community for Dead Man's Hand. I don't know. But you know what? I'm never going to figure that out.
Come on,
I'm sure the game is a solid 3 out of 10.
All right, so that's
right
what
below
I picked
gun.
up.
Okay.
that's what I picked up. April / couple of handful of days in May. What are your April pickup?
Oh, it's pretty good. Well, I believe, and you never know because you always order these like, months and months ago, and it takes a while for the games to come out. And I'm not complaining because I understand they got to get the orders in, they got to create all of the materials, press the discs, and send it out. But I got my limited run pickups. I'm very happy to announce that Double Dragon Neon for the Switch, which, just like Scott Pilgrim, was locked to the PS3 360. It was a digital-only game. They never ported it. It was only on those digital stores for a couple years, and then they delisted them, so you couldn't get it anymore. So when that came out, I was like, I'm going to get it. So... And that's the first one, Double Dragon Neon, the first, which is kind of like a reimagining of the first game. Like, it has a lot of the same enemies. The story is completely different. You go to, like, space after the first level, which is, like, wild. But it's very good. The Castlevania collection, all right, that's Castlevania 1 through 4 through Super Castlevania. Kid Dracula, which we never got here, Japanese exclusive. That is Castlevania Adventure 1 and 2, and Castlevania Bloodlines, the excellent Genesis version of Castlevania. And I've been playing Bloodlines, and it's great.
Okay.
Also got Zombie Ate My Neighbors / Ghoul Patrol for the Switch.
I got that too. I actually picked that up too. Well, I actually came in like a month ago.
Yeah. And one of your favorite games, Dan, Axiom Verge 1 and 2. Finally get to part 2.
Mine's didn't come in yet. Come on.
Come on. But you already played it and beat it. So it's not like,
I know, but I played I got not only did I get 1 and 2, I got the strategy guide too.
Oh, so you can get that last little piece?
I get that last little piece. I got the strategy guide, and I didn't get that. It didn't come in yet either, so I've been waiting for that. So hopefully, if you got yours, I should get mine soon because I definitely got Zombie Ate My Neighbors, Ghouls Patrol for the Switch.
Right.
Right. I think I got that like late March, and I forgot to talk about that. So
nice, good deal. And yeah, those are the big four. I got some other stuff too, but nothing too crazy. Just a couple of Goodwill finds and all that. But yeah, those are my pickups.
So Dave, this is part of the show I definitely enjoy talking about, and this month's selection of our top 3, I am not gonna lie, wasn't easy at all for me. I know you said this was a piece of cake, but for me it wasn't easy. It was pretty hard.
Oh, okay.
What is your top 3 console of all time? I mean, all time.
Yeah.
But there is one rule. There's one rule. You can't use current gen. The PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch don't qualify.
Right. Because you want to be able to analyze the system within a history and its impact, and it's kind of hard to do that with current gen, right? It's kind of hard to look at the PS5 and say, how important was this in kind of the gaming landscape? So, okay, yeah, I don't have any current gen consoles. Do you want to just I can do my 3 and then you can do your 3, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do your 3, I'll do my 3.
Okay, and I'm gonna give some explanations as to why. I kind of came at this with what was kind of the contribution for each one of these consoles. Why is it important, right? Because you can say oh, hey, the Neo Geo was an amazing console, and it was. Put a lot of good games out there, King of Fighters series and Art of Fighting and a lot of other fighting games. But, I mean, it kind of had a lot of flaws too, right? Had a big old ass controller, cost $700 on the home system, and the system didn't really last that long. So, maybe a great system, may look great, but didn't really make the cut for me. So, My number 3, and I kind of went back and forth. Do I go with the OG? Do I go with the Super version? I went with the Super Nintendo. And, I was like, well...
I'm just happy it's your top 3.
Okay. Well, I was like, well, the Nintendo brought back video games, brought it back from the dead. And you could make the argument that that is the most important console of all time, because the landscape could have looked a lot different if Nintendo wasn't here. I'm sure other companies would have stepped up and whatever else, but Nintendo really kind of came at it, and they had the D-pad and like the 2 buttons, start and select. They really kind of codified what the modern day controller was, and everyone kind of emulated that to some degree, right? But I didn't go with the regular Nintendo, because the games on the regular Nintendo, they were kind of limited. You could only really do so much. There was a lot of platformers. Towards the latter half, you started to get some RPGs. We got some basic sports titles and some shooters. But that was kind of about it. It was really kind of, the genres were kind of limited in a way. So my number 3 is the Super Nintendo, for the exact reason that now it's 16-bit. It's got the alpha transparency. It's got the cool Mode 7 graphics, so you can kind of, rotate sprites around, and rudimentary 3D with a handful of games, Stunt Race FX and Star Fox and, a couple other ones. So, and you started to get substantial sports games, right? You got the Madden series, right? Which started on the PC, but went to the Genesis and then the Super Nintendo. And, there's really just a lot of amazing games on there, and huge library. So I went with the Super Nintendo, and one of the best controllers ever, right? First controller with shoulder buttons, right? Rounded corners, had the diamond pattern for the buttons, right? X, Y, BA, Y, X, BA, start, select, and the 2 shoulders. There's 8 buttons on this controller compared to the Genesis, which only had 4 buttons, and that was kind of it was a hamper when you were playing certain fighting games. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is the Xbox 360. And
I knew you were going to put this on here.
It's a monumental console. A lot of franchises were birthed on the Xbox 360 during this generation. Mass Effect, Gears of War, just to name a few. But really, the reason I put it on here is because of the online capability. Well, it definitely wasn't the first console, but it was the first one to really get the experience right. It had built-in voice chat, which worked with like every game. You could group up with friends. You could send messages, right? It had an online store where you could download demos. Had a really good interface for the time, the kind of Blades interface with the other console. So the Xbox 360 is my number 2.
Okay.
And the GOAT, the number 1 console of all time, you're gonna love this, Dan, is the PlayStation 2.
Whoa! You didn't put that original Xbox. I thought you would say the Xbox One.
No.
Okay.
No. 360 is the supreme out of the Xbox family. But no, I mean, like PS2. Obviously, you can say the video games, right? It had great fighting games, had great shooters, had great RPGs, had great, third person action adventure games. We know this. It was really the combination of, here you have a system which launched with like 20 games, right? Had an amazing launch library, just in terms of the variety. And you could also play DVDs on it, right? That was crazy. First controller with pressure-sensitive buttons. You had a bunch of buttons on there, right? You had the 2 analog sticks that was carried over from the PlayStation 1, the DualShock controller. They enhanced it quite a bit. Still had the 4 shoulder buttons, right? Very nice, comfortable controller. Worked with a lot of games. And you had a great library, and you could play DVDs on it. It was just as good as DVD players that were the same price, and it was a game console and a DVD player. And they also tried to get into the online thing a little bit. Not great, better on the PS3, but it was really the games and the DVD capability is really what kind of solidified it for me.
Okay, that's a solid 3. I can't disagree.
All right.
At all, especially since most, with the exception of one, are similar to mine.
I mean, listen, great minds think alike. So
all right. So my top 3 video game consoles of all time, I got to start with number 3, and that's the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the PS3 sort of, was a down, cycle for Sony, and
not great.
They ended up winning sort of the console generation, quote unquote, through sales, but not in the hearts and minds of gamers, right? Because the 360 won that generation. They sort of squeaked it in as far as sales numbers goes towards the end. But the PS4, they did everything right, and they sort of reinvented what it meant to be a PlayStation gamer with all their experiences, the online play, and definitely the UI was vastly superior to the PS3 era, right? So
yeah. I have to say, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I like that crossbar implementation.
I tolerated it.
Okay. Well, isn't the PS4 just an enhancement on that? I mean, it's better, obviously, but
I don't want to say as President constructed, but back then I did not like sort of the crossbar, the way they had it on the PS3. They definitely improved it greatly on the PS4, and just that DualShock 4 was amazing. Especially I know it was a gimmick, but sort of the touchpad, with the early games that used it. I thought it was, Killzone. I thought it was innovative. I didn't like
the microphone on the controller too.
They had the microphone and controller, and I didn't like the light bar, which they eventually patched so it wouldn't be as bright and kill the battery, because the battery was the number one thing. But the game, right? We do this to play the games, and I thought, the single player experiences, the new franchises, the revitalization of old franchises on the PS4 were just so great that I can't ignore the contribution that the PS4 gave, and I find myself still popping in PS4 games on my PS5 to play.
Sure.
Right? So because it's backward compatible.
And let's not forget about the VR, right?
And the VR started. Yeah, the VR started.
First home console with PSVR. First home console with VR. Technically the only one, unless you count Labo. Because the Labo
it's still
VR,
only one. I don't believe in Labo being in VR. No, I don't believe in Labo being in VR. But it is the first console that had VR, and the first console that actually had where you can stream integrated into the UI, right?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, yeah.
So
that was a great feature.
So I think the PS4, and it was sleek design. I thought the design, was killer as well. I don't want to ignore that. I like the original design of the PS4, and I like the PS4 Slim, and I like what we call the ice cream sandwich of the PS4 Pro.
It's got, sort of 3 layers of
there's 3 layers. Yeah, and they try to mimic what Xbox did with you can change the faceplate, right? Like they had you can change the faceplate of the PS4, and
Wait, can you?
You could the original. Oh. I have a little big planet faceplate on mine right now.
Oh,
funny enough,
I did not
on the original PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. A lot of people forget that you could change faceplates, and
it didn't last very long.
If you're a collector, you should try to buy as many faceplates now as you can.
I've never seen them out in the wild. I've never seen them out there, but all right.
Yeah, well, you better eBay it, because I definitely I have a little. I'm looking at it right now. I have a Little Big Planet one that I was like, I think this is cool to put on it. When I bought it for full price for like $20, and now it's probably like $100 at this point.
Right.
For the original. So I think the PS4 is that. I'm gonna go with the PS2 as my second. And the PS2, I think, for all the reasons that you said, it is the number one selling console. It did play DVDs. The DualShock 2 was amazing, but it also wasn't just a PS2 console. It was a PS2 console and a PS1, because it was automatically backward compatible. You could play all your PS1 games on it.
That's right.
Right. If you had your PS1, memory card, you could save on there just as well. It was Sony's first foray into online gaming as well.
Yep.
Right. I do have that modem. I had that box, screwed into my original OG big box PS2 console. And I think the PS2 Slim changed the game, right? Because more people, I think it was a DVD player, but when the PS2 Slim came out, I think more people bought the PS2 Slim because it was just so small and could
Well, they
fit
took out the hard drive thing in the back, and they took out the unnecessary features, and they got a price drop on it, right?
Yeah.
You get it in black and silver, which was kind of cool. But can you count the revisions though? I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but all right. I mean,
I want to say sales. I want to say sales definitely boosted after the Slim came out because I know I bought a Slim right away, like when they first came out, and I was like, oh man,
well, I mean, sure, but you
as a casual gamer, because I was a casual gamer at that time.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you got to measure the merits of the console on the version that came out, because the revisions then is like, they're going to make it better and better.
Well, we're talking about greatest consoles of all time, so it's not just, and it's a reason why we're not using current gen consoles. We're using consoles in their totality, right, of all time. So I'm using the first console that came out and the first version that came out and the last version. That's one of the reasons why we said let's just use.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. We don't. I mean, I guess we can count it, but it feels kind of weird because I would say then specifically call PS2 Slim or say Xbox One X, right?
Well, for me, for my list, my criteria, I'm taking, again, we're taking it in its totality. I'm going to count, for my list, I'm going to count all the versions that came out.
It's technically different consoles, but I mean, all right, I guess we're kind of quibbling.
So I think that counts, and just the amount of games that came out for it. Anything you want,
over 1,000.
Any genre you want, hidden gems galore. Metal Jesus, right?
Oh, Jesus.
The PS2 has
gems. They're all hidden gems.
They're all hidden gems. From fighters to shooters to platformers, you name it. The PS2 has, I think, the biggest library of assortments that you could, like, if someone wants to get into collecting, like, I would say just buy a PS2, or not even collecting. If you just want to get into games in general and you want to experience all genres, and I would say get a PS2.
It's a great cheap retro console that won't break the bank. Yeah. Now,
my number one is definitely nostalgia glasses on, and I'm not afraid to say it. I say it proudly. I wear it proudly. Okay. I think, and this was hard. This was hard because I went back and forth between this and the PS2 because I love them both. Okay, PS3 was always my number 3.
PS4.
I mean, PS4 was always my number. Yeah, PS3 is like top 10, but not my number 3.
You're being okay. Let's listen. This is the Dan Robinson top 10.
This is my list. This is my list. I almost listen. I almost put the original Xbox on here just to get a reaction out of you.
Of course. So I knew you'd be. I thought you would kind of try and sneak that in.
I almost did because, I mean, first console with a hard drive, right? Home console with a hard drive.
Yeah, first console with a built-in hard drive. That's right.
My number one is going to be the SNES. Okay? The Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Come on, any system that has the greatest game of all time in Super Mario World. Come on.
It's a great game still to this day. Yeah.
Still to this day, pick up and play. The console revolutionized gaming with the controller, rounded edges, trigger, diamond. Definitely the best controller. It's arguably the best controller ever, right? Like, I think that's anybody can, I can give a kid the Super Nintendo controller and they can pick up any type of game, right? And it ages very well, not like the N64 controller.
No, I think
or the NES controller.
I think it's one of the only kind of really old school controllers that ages very well.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are hard to use. Yeah, a lot of those old ones are hard to use.
So I think the Super Nintendo, the best game of all time. And I mean, listen, I come from an age where platformers dominated, and I think the SNES was like it had the best platforming games.
It was king.
Best unique. It was the king of platforming games. Best unique platforming games. RPGs, right?
Yep.
If you love Final Fantasy, if you love the Final Fantasy series, definitely play it on the SNES.
That's right.
Just
Right.
fighting games. I mean, I started out only wanting to play fighting games on the Super Nintendo, right? I didn't want to
Right.
play on a Genesis unless you had a 6-button controller.
Right.
And
Right.
I hated playing. I had Mortal Kombat 2, which was difficult, but I made it to Shao Kahn on the, I just like Dave played on the hardest difficulty.
That's
I made
right.
it to Shao Kahn and just couldn't beat him on the Genesis or Mortal Kombat 2, but I destroyed it. Even though Dave doesn't, thinks I don't know what the definition of destroy. I won on the SNES.
Winning and destroying are two different things.
Whatever. I still won.
If you have all your health left after you beat Shao Kahn, you have destroyed Shao Kahn.
All right. Well, you know what? I won. That's the only thing that matters.
Okay. Well, all right.
So, I think the SNES is a superior, and it had online capability because if you go on the Super Famicom, which is a Super Nintendo, it's just a Japanese version. They had online before like any other console, right?
Well,
they didn't do online with NES.
The American version
Nintendo.
technically, the American version technically had that too with the X Band. It was
That's true. That's true.
It was a
Totally
third-party
forgot about
thing.
that.
It didn't support all games, but you could play, Madden and NHL and Mortal Kombat, a couple other games you could play over the modem. So
Totally forgot about that, but
yeah.
Super Nintendo was kind of the first console to go online, right? Or at least the console go online mainstream and be successful. Put it
Sure.
that way.
Sure.
I can't think of anything before it.
I mean, the NES had some basic online stuff, but yeah, it was a little niche. I think you could do like horse betting on there, and maybe you could look at like stocks. I don't know. There was some basic functionality, but I think you're right. The Super Nintendo was kind of really the first one to do it, right?
And you knew any sequel that came out on here would be called Super. Come on. That alone is awesome. It's like you got the only thing that wasn't called Super was Zelda, right? It should have been
Zelda,
called Super Zelda.
It's Super Zelda.
It was
it was good. It was good. Good they didn't. Yeah.
So, for that reason, the controller, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll just end it on this. I like the color scheme of gray and purple. It's still iconic for me. I think because I'm not a fan of purple at all, even though it's the color of royalty. I'm not a purple fan, but I definitely dig the color scheme of the Super Nintendo of gray and purple. So to me, the SNES, greatest console of all time. If you ask me tomorrow, it may be something different, but as of right now, definitely NES.
There we go.
SNES.
All right.
So, all right. On that note, we're going to take a break. Come back. We're going to dive deep into our backlog. We're going to get into Mortal Kombat Armageddon and Fighters Megamix. And we're back. All right, Dave. Let's dig into our backlog and play some fighting games because this is the fighting game edition of Saturday Morning Retro.
Oh yeah, it is.
I know you're going to talk about Fighters Megamix, but I have to start with Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Now, mind you, I've only played the original Part 2, Mortal Kombat 2, 3, Ultimate 3, and 4. And then after that, I think I played Mortal Kombat 9. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
you missed the whole 3D generation.
I missed the whole 3D generation. So I'm coming into this brand new, and I'm not going to reference any of the other 3D games in comparison because I never played those. So I'm coming in as this person who just played this game solo by itself for the first time. Okay. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty surprised. I'm surprised about a lot of things about this game. One, the release date. Okay, because this is the first time I think for any game that I can think of us doing the show or Saturday Morning Retro that all the versions had different release dates. Right. The PS2 version came out October 11th, 2006. The Xbox version came out October 17th, 2006. And then the Wii version, yes, this game came out on the Wii, came out May 29th, 2007. This was the last 3D game 3D Mortal Kombat game that came out for the 6th generation, but then it came out for the Wii, so the 7th generation. It didn't come out for the PS3 or the Xbox 360. So the Wii for the 7th generation was the only time it came out, and is kind of the definitive edition because 62 different fighters came out for the Xbox and PS2, but 63 fighters. There was one exclusive fighter that came out for the Wii version, and it was I can't think of the character's name that came out, but it was exclusive to the N64 Mortal Kombat trilogy. Same character. So that's kind of cool if you're a Nintendo fan, knowing that you have one character that you can't play on PlayStation, you can't play on Xbox.
Right. Right.
Published and developed by Midway Games, right? And I said, that this was a fighting game, and I played the original on the PS2 Slim. So I've been playing it for a while now too, and I couldn't wait to talk about it. I told you this was going to be my next Saturday morning retro game.
Right.
It is the 7th.
The character you're thinking of is Chameleon.
Yes, Chameleon. I had it until my tongue came.
Yeah, they were the new character, which was basically like a Jade or Melina clone or whatever else. But
yeah, it debuted on Mortal Kombat Trilogy on N64, and also was on the Wii version of Armageddon. I don't know if it was on any of the other games in between, because maybe I'll play those for Saturday Morning Retro in the future. Talk about it, but for now, definitely exclusive character on the Wii.
So beyond Chameleon, is it complete in terms of like all the characters and bosses up to that point?
Correct. Yes,
it is. Okay,
it is.
So this is like Tekken Tag Tournament, right? Let's put everybody in there.
Let's put everybody in there.
Wow. Okay.
So this was the 7th game in the Mortal Kombat fighting game series. Okay. And I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was a little weird because I know I played the new versions, the new Mortal Kombat, that came out, the PS4, the PS4 and the PS3. But it was weird for me to see like zombie characters in Mortal Kombat. So obviously, like Liu Kang, spoilers if you haven't played any Mortal Kombat characters back in the 2000s, Liu Kang dies and was like a zombie fighter. Like, Liu Kang is my favorite fighter to play with, and he's a zombie with chains on his arm.
He dies in part 4, I think, which is why he comes back as a zombie. Right?
So I totally it still like boggles the mind for me playing this game. Like, I have zombie characters of my favorite character, right, to play as. And I guess because he's everybody's favorite, they need to knock him down a notch, right? And say, we're gonna make him a zombie because we gotta shake things up. And I still disagree with that decision. And that's probably one of the only knocks I have on. One of the major knocks, I should say, I have. But I thought it was cool. Like, when you come in, you can create an account, which, by the way, everything that has a C, they usually have a K, except for create, which is, a missed opportunity. They should have had a K for create as well.
Oh, yeah. Why not? It's right there.
It's right there. Just low-hanging fruit for them. But no, it still starts with a C in the game. So you can create an account, and you come up with a unique password that's 6 characters. And you log in, and it keeps your stats for whatever you're playing in the game. It keeps your stats, and I think that's pretty cool. You have to hit L. You have to hit L1 and then put in the password. I will say it should ask me to log in when I come in. It doesn't. So if you come in, and I think that's a knock against it. If you come in and just start fighting and playing whatever, doing whatever you
won't have
do,
your progress.
It won't. Yeah, I beat the game. Which was not easy. And all of that wasn't recorded.
Oh, Dan.
Because I didn't create a character. I didn't create a character.
Right.
An account. I didn't create an account.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't care. You can not record it. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm a little annoyed at that. But I never really care about Mortal Kombat stories. I'm be honest. After like Mortal Kombat 2, when when Shao Kahn comes, right? Like and it's like a big thing because he's coming. I never really kept track of the story that much, but I will say one thing I love about this game: if you don't hit start, they have an epic opening cinematic
There
where
you go.
you're in some desert. I don't know what realm you're in because that's the terminology you have to use when you use Mortal Kombat. I don't know what realm you're in, but there's like this big, huge fight in like a desert to the death, and it's like Armageddon is coming, and so now hence Mortal Kombat Armageddon, right? The end of the world, the apocalypse. So it's big and epic, and I could whenever I start the game, I just let it play because I think it's like awesome.
Nice.
Story wise, well, you have different mode. I have to start with you have different modes in this game. By the way, you have 4 different modes. You have combat mode, conquest, creative fighter, and motor
Creative
combat. Fighter. Yeah. I think this was the first one. I don't know. I can't really confirm that because I haven't played any of the other 3D games that came before it. But for me, this was the first one, Mortal Kombat, where you creative fighter.
Well, I know it wasn't. It wasn't in Deadly Alliance. It definitely wasn't in the first 4.
But was it in Inception? Because that was the one right before it.
I don't think so. I think this was specifically for this game, and I don't think they ever returned to it because it's very difficult to do.
Well, I'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But one of the modes I want to focus on is Conquest mode, which is sort of like a 3D beat 'em up with some normal fight sequences. All right, it's to me again. I didn't play Deception, and a lot of people talk about it's the same as Deception. I'm guessing Deception and Shaolin Monks, which 2 games I haven't played, have similar modes. I think Shaolin Monks is sort of just like a 3D beat 'em up Mortal Kombat game.
It is, yeah.
But to me, this was like Sub-Zero Mythology's level of what it should have been. Way better, right? 3D mode. But story wise, you play a character as Taven, put in suspended animation by your parents of all people.
Okay.
To come back to prevent the apocalypse brought about by the Mortal Kombat fighters. So basically, in the opening cinematic, where there's like this huge fight where it's about to breed the apocalypse, your parents, who are high level gods, quote unquote, right, put you and your brother in suspended animation, and sort of the 3D sort of style beat 'em up game is you going through trying to figure out what happened because you didn't know you were in suspended animation. It's funny, as you play the game, you're like, what happened? I just remember seeing my parents and then being knocked out, and now I'm here. And how long has it been? And it's like, yeah, you've been in suspended animation, and you need to fight to stop the apocalypse from happening. You and your brother. So I'm not going to spoil any of the story elements. I didn't finish it, but I got pretty far into it. It gets harder and harder as you go on, no matter what difficulty level you have. And it's pretty cool because you get like ground pound. You could do like fatalities in the beat 'em up sections, right? But I haven't done any fatalities in the fight sequences, the actual 3D fight sequences. So, for the story mode at least. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was like an added bonus to this. I know for the everything that I've researched in the marketing of this, they focused on that as like this is the new mode, right? Because they wanted people to play it and enjoy it. But I thought it's more of a gimmick in my eyes. It was an afterthought for me. I didn't really put too much stock into this. I played it a couple of times and got pretty far into it, but and they try to mix it up a little bit by like on Metro, where you had at the end when you had to leave, you had a certain amount of time to get out of there, right?
Sure.
They have these sequences where you gotta leave and you gotta beat up people in a certain way to get out of this section. They give you like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So now, they have interesting modes.
Was it just not fleshed out enough?
The camera of the time, remember what time we're talking about, the camera could be annoying at certain times where I'm like, oh my God, I can't even see myself fighting. I can't adjust the camera. And I thought it was very repetitive. And and again, it was still, you're controlling your body with one stick, right? And they didn't quite get the change in the camera angle with the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it was getting there. I think if they do it now, it would be much better, but they haven't in any of the newer Mortal Kombat games. All the story elements of cinematic scenes and then a fight sequence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I just don't, see in this game, the camera was kind of frustrating in my view.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the time, I probably thought it was cool. Like I thought it was amazing. So we got that. Again, you have two fighting styles. You have hand-to-hand combat. You have a weapon, right? So you could use a weapon. You could use hand-to-hand. In my experience, I think using the weapon, you're a bit sluggish, where your attacks are a half a second slower. And I don't know if they did that on purpose, to where it's hey, if you use a weapon, it deals more damage, but to wield the weapon,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if that's something they did on purpose, or I'm just bad at the game, because every time I try to wield my weapon, I feel like I'm going a half a click slower. So I try not to use my weapon.
All right. I mean, do you do enough more damage that it's kind of worth it, or?
In my view, no, because they can counter, right? Because it's a fighting game, so of course you can have counter attacks and break a combo for you. And I just if I'm beating them so bad and they have low energy and I just a couple of more hits, then I would try to use the weapon, my strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the game is definitely not easy, especially when you do combat, which is normal arcade or practice. You know, they start you off with like 5% difficulty, and as you go up the ladder, normal Mortal Kombat arcade style, difficulty increases, right? So, and it tells you that, which is like hilarious. Like it says, your first fighter is like 5% difficulty, your second fighter is like 14% difficulty, and it keeps going up and up until you face Blaze or Blade, which is like the final boss of this game, and he's like a fire monster, right? It looks like he's made out of lava of some sort. So I think it's pretty cool that each level has not only breakable environments, which for the time, again I have to put it in its time, 2006 2007, which I think is like awesome, but you can hit a character to go beyond the level, right? That takes a little bit more damage where they're falling down, and then you go back to fighting them. Or you can, like this, like I'll just use an example. You're in a subway, historical Mortal Kombat scene, historical stage. Mortal Kombat stage where you're doing like a subway level. You can hit them, they get hit by a train, and it's automatic death.
Oh yeah. The stage fatality.
So each stage has its own fatality. Speaking of fatalities, this is where the mixed reception came in, and I tried not to look at reviews, but just gameplay of this game of the time. But I definitely wanted to gauge the reception for this, since we're playing older games. I want to know at the time, was this well received or not well received, and people were mixed on the fatalities. They weren't normal fatalities as you would have in previous Mortal Kombat games, but sort of they gave you like a time limit, and you could see the bar going down where you could do sort of like a one hit combo fatality, right? Where I could pull your arm off, pull your heart out, and then smash your head, right? If you do it in sequence. For novice like me, who terrible at doing fatalities early on in the arcade with the first 3 games, this was good. But I could see people who were seasoned vets, at least at the time, who says, just let me know what button combination I need to do, I'll get the fatality done. I could see them hating it, right? So for me, I thought the fatalities were better, but I can understand why people who were seasoned vets at the time didn't really like them. So I can see why it had mixed reviews. Sort of they try to make the fatalities easier for people to get, right? Because if you could do a fatality combo where I pull your arm off, pull your other arm off, guard out, bash your head in, like you can keep going, right? But you have to do it in sequence, and if you stop, you still did a fatality, but you didn't get it all done. So I can see why people didn't really like this.
Right.
at the time. But let's talk about the Creative Fighter. By the way, the Creative Fighter, they did make it with the K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not created a count.
Well.
So
yeah, I'm actually
missed
real
opportunity.
interested. What can you do with the
Everything. Everything. You can give your fighter a unique fighting style by changing their stance, wind pose, animations, assigning different attacks to different buttons on the controller. I made the Incredible Hulk, and it looked like the Incredible Hulk, but he fought like Scorpion. He fought like Scorpion. You have so much control over what you can create. It's not even funny. I even made you, Dave. I made you.
You made me? Hey.
I made you.
Did I dominate? Did you take me to victory? Top of the heap?
Not. Well, according to you, I don't know what that word means. So no, you definitely didn't dominate.
Oh, no. You know what the word means now. All right. So I won, but I didn't dominate. Okay.
No.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'll take it.
So you had so much control. I felt like playing WrestleMania 2000 when you had so much control over making a character. Right?
Oh, those are the best. Yeah. When you get a good call, when you get a good creator wrestler system.
And you can. I think the best thing is you can create a character and you can play online with other people. So that's like the gimmick, or like the shtick for this game at the time. Again, 2006, this would have been amazing. I was like, I can make my own Mortal Kombat character, and you can play online, right? So that's amazing. And listen, players can create their own fatalities from a series of gory attacks. So like you could create your own fatalities. So they had to create your own fatality thing. So I think that was sort of cool that they gave that level. They gave that level of freedom and independence to the player. And I could see why, Armageddon sort of, again, had that mixed reviews because of that. Because it was more honestly for the general public than the hardcore gamers. They catered to the general public. So now, the one cool thing that I thought about this game is, I love Mario Kart. And so does Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat. He took great inspiration. He made Mortal Kombat, which I think it should have been called something else. Maybe like Mortal Kart Bat or something. I don't know. I think they could have had something better than Mortal Kombat. Come on.
So you're telling me inside this 60 some odd fighter smorgasbord of like all sorts of battle modes and creative fighters and kind of the 3D action adventure game, they squeezed in a kart racer on top of that.
Yes, correct.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
So not in depth. It's not super in depth like Mario Kart. It's a kart racer mini game. Deception, the game before this, had also a mini game, more of puzzle elements. But they had a mini kart racer game in this game. You can play as 10 different characters. They only had 5 tracks, and each racer had a special move. Okay, and the cool thing of the time in 2006, you can play online with your friend. So me and you can race each other.
Wow, that's awesome.
And each track was the best of 4, not the best of 3. So they went a little above and beyond. And every time you died, so the stages, obviously themed after the characters, had some challenges where you had to, you wanted to avoid the pits and stuff. And if you died, it was a fatality. I'm not gonna lie, the tracks were a little bit longer, but they were super easy, and that's something that you would do. You would play all 5 tracks maybe like twice, and they didn't really have substance because they didn't have any variety in the weapons, which I think is a missed opportunity. And maybe in the next game they could have fleshed out a better kart racer, right? Every character only has one special, and there's only 10 characters you can use. So, other than that, other than the special and the speed up. That was it, really, to be honest. You're collecting points. I still don't know why I was collecting points, Mortal Kombat points. It was like, what's the reason? Why am I doing this? There's nothing that can really, I guess I can use this in other modes, maybe, right? The crypt mode where you can collect items and stuff.
I'm assuming, you can get all the extra stuff in the crypt with it.
Yeah, so it was nothing of use in this particular mode, I should say. So I think it was a novelty. It was cute, right? Like
Oh, it sure
it's
was. I
okay.
mean,
Yeah,
you're not playing it for this mode, but it's kind of nice to have. It seems like.
yeah. I just wish they would have fleshed that out a little bit more. At least
Hmm.
if in other Mortal Kombat games, I wish they would have gave it a little bit more attention to the
Right,
kart
right.
racing. So this was a missed opportunity, if you ask me. Um, Again, what excited me more about this game, the kart racer. Like when I found out when I was doing research, I was like, what game should I want to play? And it's like, oh man, they had like a Mortal Kombat kart racing game. This is awesome. I want to play this. That in the large roster, like this is like one of the biggest rosters in Mortal Kombat, right? Like, I mean, I have to excuse the zombie Liu Kang, but other than that, this is one of the biggest rosters. I didn't even know Mortal Kombat at the time had this big of a roster, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of weird characters.
A lot of
I
weird
mean,
characters.
you had Mocap, the motion capture fighter with the little balls on him,
Yeah, yeah.
and you could play as a giant piece of meat. Funny enough, yeah, there was a lot of weird characters in there.
So I want to say my least favorite thing was the ending to arcade mode. Certain
Oh,
characters that you actually, you struggle to beat because the difficulty ramps up as you go up the ladder, right?
mm-hmm.
5%, 15%, 20%, 30%. Um, it the ending, I'm thinking I'm gonna get like an ending with like a big cinematic, just like the opening cinematic, right? You'll just get the player doing a kata and someone telling you how he ends up.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of whack. That's kind of
Well,
whack, right? It's kind of weak.
were you thinking there was going to be individual 3D cinematics for every fighter?
Just give me something other
Because
than
that's a lot.
yes.
That's a
Well,
lot.
okay, okay. Give me. Even there were certain Street Fighter games where you sort of saw like comic book style, them turning the pages, still pics of them doing something, and someone telling you
Sure.
or lettering, like. But them doing just a kata in the final stage, the lava
Mm-hmm.
stage, and they're
Mm-hmm.
just sitting here doing a kata. If you don't know what kata is in martial arts, it's just you moving around. It looks like a dance, right?
Yeah,
It's just
you
you
do like a certain
practicing the
set of
moves.
moves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just them doing a kata with them actually narrating what happens to the player. I think was kind of a cop out. Like they could have added something a little bit more, even if it would have just been still pics of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
um I that took me out of it. Does this game hold up today?
That's the
Yes.
question, Dan.
a
Yeah.
a
Okay.
100%.
So it's good.
100%.
It's worth playing, is what you're saying.
This game is worth playing.
Okay.
Even if we do a review roundup of the time, the highest score it got was on Xbox. It got a 77 Metacritic score and an 82 user score across the board. The best score it got from 96 Console Game World, which can't pull that review, obviously.
Oh, Game World.
In the
Yeah.
I know, I never even heard of that. And
No.
the worst user score was a 50 from Entertainment Weekly. I didn't even know Entertainment Weekly, reviewed games, and I can't pull that review. But I thought this was an amazing game. It's a game that you can get on Luki, right now, complete PS2 version for $25.97. And if I had to score this game, I would give this game a 9 out of 10.
Wow. There you go. That's a damn good. That's a damn good score for a damn good game. Yeah. I mean, I
Yep.
feel like you get your money's worth out of it too, right? Now, the one thing you didn't mention, and I'm actually kind of curious about, did you have to go through and unlock most of the fighters, or did they just give them to you?
They give you most of the fires. They had about 2 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, unlockable fighters that you have to do.
Okay,
But
that's more than fair. So like 90% of them are available at the start.
or unlocked at the start, yes.
Gotcha.
And because this was a PS2 game, I'm sure there's some codes where you can unlock everybody.
Oh yeah. You just put in your up down down and then boom.
Yeah. So I think this game, you know what? If again, and we talked about it with the greatest consoles of all time, If you're gonna start with a console to actually like collect and play for, you could do the PS2. And if you like playing fighting games, I think this is a must-have in your collection, no matter what console. Even the Wii, if you have it for the Wii, buy it on the Wii, play it. It's a great game.
Okay. Well, let me get into I love this because you're doing the fighting game, so we're going head to head here. So let me tell you about Fighters Megamix, Dan. This actually, it's kind of very similar to Armageddon. It was a culmination of, I want to say, all of Sega's 3D fighting games up until that point. So let me give you a little backstory or a little details, info on the game itself, and then we'll get into kind of what this game is. So it was released in Japan December 21st, 1996. Came out in North America April 30th, 1997. Developed by the acclaimed Sega AM2, published by Sega. Released on the Sega Saturn, and I don't think you know this, Dan, because I didn't know this. Also came out on the game.com. Do you remember that system?
I do remember this on the game.com. Yeah.
So for anyone who's young enough, or even they may have even been out when it was around and didn't even realize it came out. It was a portable handheld black and white system that had online connectivity. I think you could hook up a telephone line and get internet service with it. Very basic internet service.
People can check their emails.
Yes, you could check your emails on there and do some other random stuff. It was really weird. But they put out a handful of games that lasted less than a year. It was put out by Tiger Electronics, I believe. I remember Duke Nukem 3D being on there. And you could also play Fighters Megamix. Now, that is not the version that we were talking about today. We were talking about...
I had Jurassic The Lost World on there.
Well. There you go. So we were talking about the Sega Saturn Fighters Megamix game. It is a tournament fighter in the same way that Mortal Kombat Armageddon is or Street Fighter is. And I played this on the Sega Saturn. Actual hardware. I just got a Sega Saturn about a month ago, and I got an actual hardware. Hooked it up with this video. Got the 6-button controller, the little pad, and yeah. So a little bit of background on this game. It is a dream battle. All right. It has all of the Virtua Fighter characters, all of the Virtua Fighter bosses. It has all of the Fighting Vipers characters and all of the Fighting Vipers bosses. And it also has Virtua Fighter Kids characters, I believe. Jackie.
Yes, I remember that. Yes, they do.
Jackie and Sarah. They do play differently. They certainly look a lot different because they're kids. They're little chibi characters. All in one game. 12 hidden characters in the game, which was kind of monumental for its time. You could play as Hornet, the Daytona USA car. He is an unlockable, or it is an unlockable. You could play as the palm tree from the AM2 logo, Dan.
I remember. Yes, you can. I remember that.
Bananas. And that's not even the craziest. The craziest one is a piece of meat. You could play as a piece of meat. Now, they're not...
What type of meat? Come on. Is it like a T-bone steak?
It is a T-bone steak, Dan. You are correct. It is a T-bone steak. And it's weird. And they're not fully animated, some of them. Like, there's a giant inflatable bear, which has almost no animation. And they all kind of have borrowed movesets and limited movesets in a way. So they're, like, kind of joke characters, some of them. So, they're not... All the characters in this game are not created equal. But you do get a lot. You get a pretty big roster. It's like maybe 30, maybe 40 characters. Like once you unlock all the characters. So it's kind of interesting. And there was no arcade version. This was console only. So, well, console and game.com only. But it never came out in the arcade. Surprisingly, because Sega was really kind of big on that at the time. But this was just a home version. So, as far as the story goes, there is like literally no story in this game. They have arcade mode, and you go through a series of predetermined fighters, in different groups. There's novice characters, there's dirty characters, tricky characters, virtual fighter. Like, there's different sets. There's like A through I, and you go through each one of those sets, and that's how you unlock the different bonus characters, right? When you kind of go through that, and then there's some extra ones on top of that. So yeah, in terms of the gameplay, right? So I mean, you played a virtual fighter, right?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you played Fighting Vipers before?
Yes, I have, and I do have this game. I have the Japanese version.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're the same exact game. It's just with the dialogue is obviously, and the voice acting is in Japanese. But the cool thing about Fighting Vipers was the characters had armor, which could be broken off. So there was like head, chest, and legs. And then, you know, when you do certain moves, or if you block a lot and you're getting like hit in the chest a lot, you'll wear the armor down, and then eventually the armor will pop off, and then that means that, you know, doing like head attacks or chest attacks will do more damage. So that's kind of cool, and they were able to retain that and still make it fair. So the Virtual Fighter characters don't have armor because that wasn't a mechanic that was in their game, but they do get moves that can bust apart their armor. So that's a thing, right? And then they took out the ring outs, right? So if you remember from Virtua Fighter 1 and 2, and I think, well, 3 wasn't out yet, but I think 3 also had, every stage had a ring out, right? So there was an edge to the stage. And for some reason, they got rid of that in the Megamix. And I don't know why. So they added in the walled stages of Fighting Vipers, right? So you could hit them into the wall and combo off of the wall, but you couldn't break the wall during combat, right? So if you did the right move and you killed them, you could knock them out of the ring, and it would do like kind of like the multiple camera angles and all that. But you couldn't get them out of the ring, and the stages that didn't have walls didn't have a ring out, which was kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. Like, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like an arbitrary thing to do. It like mechanically it would work because everyone has all the same moves. They have dashes and throws and charge attacks and, you know, ways to kind of move the character like around the ring. So that was kind of a little bit weird. I don't really know why that wasn't there.
They should have had ring outs. Yeah, that's crazy that wasn't in the game.
I mean, it would have been an extra mechanic. I don't know if it necessarily like hindered me when I was like playing the game, but I was like, oh, it would have been cool if they would have been an added bit to that. Some of the moves from Virtual Fighter 3 are in Fighters Megamix, so you kind of got a little bit of a taste of the enhanced moveset for the VF2 characters who made it to VF3, which I think is most, if not all of them. So that was kind of cool. So they got some new moves. I think some of the characters on the Fighting Viper side, I think, may have gotten a couple new moves. But yeah, mostly they play very similar to their original games. And one thing I'll say about this, and I did also see this online from the number of reviews and kind of classic reviews of this game. The difficulty is very easy. Now, I started playing on normal, and I got through a whole track. I made it all the way to the boss of like track A. It was a breeze. It was easy. But then I was like, well, I might as well put it down to like very easy and then just unlock all the characters just to see everybody, so I get to play with, you know, all these characters and kind of see what all that's like. So I did knock it down to like very easy. That obviously doesn't give you any score tracking or anything like that. You don't get ranked or whatever else because you're playing on a lesser difficulty, but it didn't feel very different than normal. All right. And a lot of people online said the same thing about this game.
Okay.
So
a game I can play. Awesome. I have played this game.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
I mean,
4
like
characters.
I mean, like, honestly, you could have just, like, in a normal fighting game, like if normal's too difficult, you can knock it down to very easy. But normal felt like very easy. So very easy was just I was literally mashing. I wasn't taking all of the time to kind of like wait and learn, for the open opportunities. And like, I learned a couple of strings and a few like throw moves and whatever else, but I was mostly mashing, to be honest. It was still fun though. Don't get me wrong. Like it was still fun, and the game is deep, but if you want to get the most out of it, it's really like head to head. In terms of the graphics, they do have less polygons than Fighting Vipers and VF2, slightly less, which is a little upsetting. I don't know why. Like, it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like the backgrounds are any more complex than, like, say, VF2 or Fighting Vipers. So that was a little weird, but you don't really notice unless you're kind of side-by-siding. But frame rate smooth. Like, when I was playing the game, it was buttery smooth, just like Sega did back in the day, It felt like 60 frames. I want to say it was 60 frames. It was definitely at least a lock 30, but I want to say it was 60. Like it felt really good. And in terms of the sound and the soundtrack, it's traditional Sega AM2 1990s flair. You kind of get your rock music with your electronic beats kind of mixed in there. Guitars, keyboards, drums. It's everything you expect from a Sega fighting game from the mid '90s, and
okay,
yeah, and I'll say the best part about it is the playable roster, the fact that it's kind of a dream match. Everybody's here, right? You get a bunch of wacky characters thrown in there too. A lot of unlockables, which is cool. Gives you a lot of replayability. Worst part about the game is two things. One, there's no in-game move list. Like when you pause the game and you want to see like, how do I do this throw or this combo or whatever it is, you have to do that.
For the time, right?
I mean, kind
Mortal
of.
Kombat Armageddon definitely had a move list when you pause it.
Right.
So, but that was, like 10 years later.
Well, I know that Tekken 3 had it. I want to say that Tekken 2 had it. Tekken 2 is a contemporary of this game. Tekken 3 was like 97, so it was a few years later. I'm just kind of noting it. It would have been a feature of note at the time if they did add it in there. So yeah, it's not like every fighting game was having it, but it's weird for it not to be there because you got to go all the way to training mode to find it. And even then, you're kind of like you have to go through it's just a little clunky is all. It could be a little bit better, but not necessarily going to knock it. And the other thing that kind of stinks is you can't skip the ending credits. Every single time you beat the game, you got to watch the whole credits. Which also, again, wasn't a thing necessarily hitting the start button to get past all the credits. So, minor quibbles.
Hey, if the ending credit is actually good and not just a kata, then I'll take it.
Oh, no. The ending credits are worse than a kata. I mean, they're almost not existent. Like when I'm talking about ending credits, I'm talking about the staff roll.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Right,
exactly.
I'd rather have a kata than
you get like a still frame graphic of like the character, right? That's really about it. And then you unlock it, and then you can watch it in the photo gallery or whatever. So that's about the best you're going to get there. So, not so great, but not that I'm really complaining. The fighting game aspect of it is solid. It runs fast, it runs smooth, and it's got everybody from the Sega 3D games of that time. And just like Mortal Kombat Armageddon, I'm saying that this game holds up. Highly recommend it. If you want a throwback 3D fighter that kind of still holds up pretty well, I would say get a Sega Saturn. If you have a Saturn already, pick this game up. It's very good. It's very good. Now, in terms of ratings, it was a little hard to find ratings on this because a lot of the services that aggregated these results weren't around anymore, and a lot of the magazines that gave it reviews aren't around anymore. But I was able to find an aggregate score from Game Rankings, which I don't believe exists anymore, but it's got an 88% out of 6 reviews. Which is pretty solid. All right, it's pretty high. Couldn't really find any user reviews on it, but some of the best came from Digitizer. Never heard of this magazine. Sega Pro and Sega Saturn magazine all gave it 95% out of 100, with the worst score coming from EGM with an 8.125 out of 10, which, if that's the worst score...
What a rating for it to be, like...
Exactly.
Screw being the worst. Who gives it an 8.125?
Well, I think because it's like... Because it's 4 different reviewers, if I remember correctly, and they would each give it, I guess it was like, you could do like a 0.5 up to 10. So when you do the average out of it, you can get in these weird fractions. But, 8.125 out of 10. So, if I had to give it
that's not the most important rating. The most important rating is, what would you give it, Dave?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm gonna give it an 8, Dan. I'm gonna give this game an 8. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. It's solid. Definitely not the best fighting game around, but it is definitely solid. You can kind of just pick it up and play. It's fairly easy for newbies, and also complex enough for the kind of more hardcore fighters that really want to get in there and kind of learn the nuances. If you want to pick this game up, you can find it on Lukey, I believe loose, for $52.47. It is a bit pricey, but recommended. I would say seek this game out if you're looking for some new fighting games. If you have a Saturn lying around, or you're saying, hey, I want to get into some Saturn games because there was amazing fighting games on the Saturn. There's a ton of good 2D ones, a lot of good 3D ones. This is definitely a game I recommend. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap things up. That is episode 20 in the books. We want to thank all of our fans for doing all the good stuff that you guys do, for listening and liking and commenting on the show. And if you want to interact with us, we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.